What's going on, com folks out there?
Yeah.
Yep, and you are listening to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast, or watching another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. This is episode number 53. I'm going to be the host of this episode. My name's Justin, aka Too Tall for You Fool. We are joined by the man from down under, Matt. You can say hello.
Oh, hello.
And of course, my main man, the F man, Finest Dabs.
I'm here for y'all. Let's do it.
Yeah. The Game and Watch podcast is a OVG RView Gaming production. So definitely thank you for that, Mr. RView Gaming. Today on the show, it's going to be pretty PlayStation heavy. We're going to talk about Sony's cross-gen controversy and how they just can't get it together with the pricing going from PS4 to PS5. And speaking of the PS5, we will also be talking about the PS5 revision and which one is going to last in the long run. But first, before we get into everything, how y'all doing? How's your week been?
Yeah, look, I can't complain. Just come off a weekend, and not to get too far down the subject away from games, but I got my first vaccine dose. So that was a fun ride for about 12 hours. It was an incredibly sick feeling for a little while, but it's abated, and I managed to get the other half of my weekend going. I realize it's a bit of a different story for you guys in America, but in Australia, we're just starting to get this crap off the ground now. So, yeah, that was a little bit of my weekend, but the rest was just playing video games, which is the best thing.
Does that mean you got to take a couple sick days off and play actually more games, or were you just down and out?
No, man. I queued it up for one of the last things I do on the Friday so that it can destroy my weekend potentially. That's, us Australians, we save our sick days for days where we don't need them. That's the culture down here.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, I'm glad you got your first dose of the vaccine. F, how's it been on your end? How's it in hot Arizona? Because I can tell you right now, it's hot here in California. So
we've been hitting I don't know, I might have said this last weekend, but we've been getting a lot of monsoons. So it's been relatively cool. Cool, of course, in our terms of, it's 103 today, 104, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I think that's 38 degrees Celsius or something.
That sounds pretty hot.
Yeah, so it's somewhere around there. But yeah, it's a little bit warm, but it's cooler than it was last year. Last year, we were at 115 at this time, and we had 50 days of 115 degree weather. So I'm doing well as far as that goes. Kids are well, family's well. Video games are well.
Well,
so,
yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, I'll tell you a little bit of what I did yesterday. Since cons have not been around, I went to 3 retro gaming stores. And you want to know what they all had in common?
No games.
No, they have plenty of games. Vitas. There were no Vitas. I think the last one I went to actually had one Vita game. So,
were you looking for a Vita in particular, or?
No, I was just curious. I just did some window shopping. Just to see what kind of retro games are out at these stores, because since I've moved to where I'm living now about a year and a half, I really have not been able to go to any of these stores, because of the pandemic, But so I got out yesterday. I did that, and I also got this Vlogger Light. Let me show it to you guys real quick for those of you guys that are watching on YouTube or any of our other channels. Pretty nice. So if my lighting looks a little better, that's why. I can't wait to test it out on one of my Twitch streams. Hopefully I'm doing another one this week, but we'll talk a little more about that later. So, I mean, so far I'm enjoying my weekend. It's not over yet. All right, so you ready to get into the Sonic Gaming mentions?
Yeah, we probably need to change that name too. It's just, it doesn't flow off the tongue. But
Yeah, it really doesn't. Honestly, I like Flash News better, but I mean, yeah, that's something we need to talk about.
I would have kept it that, but the last time I told someone about it, they flashed me. So that didn't work out. He was just not the kindest fellow.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is a not safe for work podcast, or are we not?
It's all dependent. We'll find out by the hour.
The naming conventions, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, a dev quit because of Steam. Summer of '58. I guess the game. I do like games that don't have a lot of fluff in them. I guess this one was maybe a little too quick to the point because it only took you an hour and a half. And with the Steam's policies, if you don't like a game under 2 hours of playing it, you can return it. So a lot of people did that for this game, and they made no money, so they quit. So we can start this off, Matt. You're on Steam a lot. What are your thoughts on devs quitting because they didn't make a long enough game?
I think they're well within their rights. To be honest, it's a really unfortunate policy that they have in place with absolutely no gray area at all. Because I had a quick look at the refund policy on Steam before the start of the podcast, and there are no gaps there. Especially with the way that games vary, you'd think that it would be okay if this game has a justified length of time that is less than 2 hours, then there would be maybe a percentage of that time that they take into account when assessing the refund. But no, it's a flat 2 hours, no matter what. And I've got a feeling that's them trying to get a competitive advantage over the rest of the competition. So that being the case, it really sucks for the developer that they had to do that.
Yeah,
no one should have to be put in that position. Yeah,
it does suck. I mean, I guess they should have put some more fluff in it. What do you think, F? I mean, did they?
I mean, with every game, you always have the opportunity to read reviews, do your research, and find out if it's a game you really want to play, or maybe a game that you want to experiment with and then try out and have that experience, whether good or bad. You take that chance with movies, books, every other type of media. So the fact that there's no place you can go and experience any other type of media for 2 hours and then return it. So I mean, it's a devastating policy. I can only imagine how many developers are losing money, and how many developers aren't really getting the opportunity to benefit off their hard work that are just kind of being taken advantage of, and during the system. I mean, because I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't use it, but it doesn't take much. That extra $100 that could go in a developer's pocket, regardless of the amount, $100, 50 cents. I think I went a quarter last week or something like that. Doesn't matter the amount. Every cent counts, and it's just a sad policy. And I hope that Steam would review it and maybe change it. In the near future. People have to open their mouths. They have to speak. They have to say something, and but in this case, it kind of benefits the player. So, I mean, I can't really see too many people speaking up, but I hope Steam would look at, the developer side and kind of realize hey, well, 2 hours is a lot of gameplay. I mean, I finished games in 2 hours. That's insane, especially for small indie developers. It's not in their favor, and it's sad to see. And I understand people quitting. I would quit if someone experienced it or did anything that I worked on, and then just was oh, that was cool, thanks, I'm dipping.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's people's art, and the fact that you see this going on, yeah, Steam really needs to look at their policies. I mean, if people are finishing the game on an average of an hour and 30 minutes, then maybe they should have like a 30-minute policy. I don't think. Well, maybe there's a game out there you can beat in 30 minutes. I don't know, but this is something that Steam really should look at. And the fact that people are in their right to do it, but that's just taking advantage of the system, not supporting the devs and the creators. A lot of hard work goes into all video games, so that's just a real shame. Hopefully we don't see any stories like that again. Just really wanted to touch base on that story. Let's see. So Xbox Game Pass September, a lot of good games coming to it, and there's some games leaving. Unfortunately, we got Craftopia coming, Final Fantasy 13, Crown Trick, a few, and then a couple that are leaving. Red Dead Online, Company of Heroes 2, Forza Motorsport is leaving, unfortunately. It's always good to see get onto the game Xbox Game Pass, but it sucks like that other games got to go. So I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on it? You guys looking forward to any games coming to Xbox Game Pass this month?
Well, I actually just picked up Game Pass to play the game 12 Minutes, which came out a couple of weeks ago. And I usually jump in and out of Game Pass because it is a subscription service and you can pay for a month and then you can drop it for the next couple of months if you want to. But I think this is going to be another problem for gamers that want to put things on the backlog and tackle games later on. When a service picks it up and then drops it after a bit of time, means that you can't just go back to your shelf and pull it off and throw it in your system when you want to play it. I think that's going to be a big thing for people who are falling behind with the games that they would like to tackle at some point. Just having that back catalog there missing is going to be a bit of a problem. But in saying that, Game Pass is excellent for it. Like Xbox is acquiring studios all over the place. So if you wanted to play EA games and if you wanted to play Bethesda games, you're probably going to get Game Pass to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, it's the Netflix of video games. Netflix kind of perfected this model, allowing, they'll get to games later, actually. We talked about that.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah. But they've kind of perfected this model in order to have limited time availability to these, to these movies and all. Let me stop talking about Netflix. Game Pass in particular they're copying the Netflix model. You get games on there for a limited amount of time now, and that's the thing. You can pick it up and drop it, which lends to Xbox's in their favor, because that allows it allows the customer to come and go, so they can pay for a month and go. But at the same time, like, Xbox isn't committed to anything. People are going to come when the games come, and then people are going to leave when the games aren't there, or they've already experienced the games. So long as they keep that rotating amount of games that are fresh, they have a good library. It's going to keep people coming regardless. And it's the value's there. So I mean, looking here at this. A lot of it is games I've already played. So no, nothing here is going to particularly draw me. But for those people that haven't played Final Fantasy 13, for those people that haven't played Surgeon Simulator, which is so much fun, this is going to be awesome. But on the other end, Disgaea 4, I love Disgaea. If I wanted to come back to that a month later, yeah, I'm not going to be able to play it, or a year later or whatever, But I'm sure at that time they're going to have Disgaea 5 on the, So it's going to be a trade-off, and people just really going to have to weigh out what they want to do in terms of, that rotation. But it's something that you're always going to be paying attention to. And Game Pass only is selling more and more. So jump on. Why not?
Yeah, it is definitely the future. I don't really agree with them 100% that they always take games off. Like, I'm kind of sad to see Forza Motorsport 7 go, but I mean, hey, that's why I just like to buy the games. I mean, definitely, um, we'll have to see what it holds in the future. But they definitely do keep making bigger moves on the Game Pass side of things. It's definitely the biggest thing in games right now if you want to play a whole lot of games.
Real
But
quick
speaking,
though,
Mhm.
before we move on, isn't Horizon day one?
Horizon Day One.
Yeah,
Which one? Which
Forza
one?
Horizon.
Horizon.
Yeah.
Oh, Forza
So
Horizon. Oh yeah, Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, Day One. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, one is leaving, and then another, like the new one is coming, and that's even more
yeah.
impressive. It's like you're getting a
Mm,
brand new Forza game along with all
mm,
these other games, that are brand new, exclusive to Xbox on day one. I mean, just they can charge $100 for this thing, and it would still the amount of gameplay that you would have available to you would is worth it in my eyes. I know not for everyone, um, it's not that amount of money isn't for everyone, but at the same time, I think it's like what I think it's $10, like $8-9 to join into Game Pass to just jump in. So I mean,
Mm.
the value I feel is there. I believe most people would agree, but there's still plenty of people that are hesitant about Game Pass. But I mean, those are all not all, but a lot of them are PlayStation fanboys. So
And
yeah.
very quickly, sorry, I've got
Yeah.
one more thing to say as well. That linking back to the story we just talked about, we have to think about the developers with something like Game Pass as well.
mhm.
Remember where users used to be paying $60, $70 for one of their games. Now instead, they're getting some money down from Xbox whenever someone joins Game Pass and plays their game, or maybe there's a deal negotiated in the background for the developer. But they may or may not be getting as good a deal as they used to get when people would have to buy the games individually. So that could be feeding together with the idea that developers making games and their monetary return could be impacting what we're getting in the future as well.
Yeah, just continuing off of that, for Outriders. Outriders signed up for Game Pass, and they were supposed to get a basically stipends, or they're supposed to get money from what is it, Square Enix, I believe, that they're partnered up with. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Outriders was supposed to get money, like a return if Outriders sold, if they sold a certain amount of units, and then Outriders didn't get any money. Like when the time came, like there was like a certain point, like maybe after like the first month or the first couple months, and so I mean it was a big thing. Outriders, like they put on their website, like they basically put them on blast. Let's see, I just want to make sure, is it Square? Let's see.
Yeah, Square Enix. I
Yeah.
think the issue there
Yeah.
was the publisher did a deal with them,
Mhm.
and because Square Enix hadn't seen a threshold of money despite the game's success, they hadn't kicked that back to the developers at all. And I think they just said, well, guys, we negotiated a deal. Where's the money?
Yeah, and but that was kind of the weird part about the entire story. People can't fly. The people that made Outriders, they didn't really, like, I don't, like, for some reason they can't see the back end of that contract. Like, that we don't know if that includes the marketing or like resells. I don't know. Like, it doesn't. They, for whatever reason, they can't see the back end from Square Enix, and so that being said, like, they're kind of in the blind, and they rely heavily, like, a developer relies heavy yeah, they rely that a lot. I'll say a lot on the on the publisher in order
A lot.
to get the word out for these games and to get these games sold and to make sure that the copies are everywhere. So it's it's kind of devastating, to see that, but we don't know the back end with Game Pass and what type of money they received on that end either. I mean, it's just Game Pass is it's a lot. Like, there's a lot going on just on that other side, and
Yeah.
for the developers, it might not all be worth it for all the developers. For some, it might. For some, it may not. That was my entire
Yeah.
point before I started stuttering.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on behind the scenes with Game Pass, definitely. But speaking of free titles that you can play if you have a subscription. PlayStation, their September looks loaded for them. So Overcooked, all you can eat for the PS5. And that's a good one, especially if you have a wife at home who doesn't like to play video games. Hi, honey. And then for the PS4, also solid. Hitman 2 and Predator Hunting. I mean, those are some pretty good games. Definitely way better than the last month. Fine, if you have a PS5 or not PS5, PS4, are you going to be downloading any of these games?
Yeah, I made a habit just to download all of them, just to have them for. Yeah, there you go. You know, you just want them. You want them all. Like it's just
You want
great
all
to
the
have
games.
them. Yeah, I want all the games just to be able to not even like play it all the way through, but just to see what people are doing, see what developers are doing, see how the gaming landscape is changing on an everyday basis. But then you always have access to them for the most case. You know, so just being able to download it anytime when I do get my PlayStation 5, just being able to jump in and download the game and then kick it back up and play it in hopefully at an upgraded scale, you know, at 60 frames, you know, 120 frames per second, you know, would be absolutely incredible. But yeah, no, I'm downloading all of it. Actually, I'm a little bit excited about Predator Hunting Grounds. You know, what was that, Evolve? It reminds me of like way back when Evolve came out, but like actually some cool monsters. And then I know they put Arnold Schwarzenegger in there, and I don't know if Rambo's in there too. That's probably Mortal Kombat. But
Yeah, I think
I'm
that was
excited to
Mortal
kick
Kombat.
that up. Yeah, so if you guys want to jump in a game, I would be more than happy to.
Yeah, I definitely do want to check. I want to check out both PS4 games actually, because it's like you don't get games like this every month on the PlayStation subscription service, PlayStation PSN subscription service, excuse me. But yeah, I definitely do want to check those games out. Matt, I know you're not console side that much, but do you have any of these games, or have you tried them out, or do they look interesting to you?
I'm going to surprise you here. I've got a PS4.
Oh, you
And
do got
I
a
was
PS4, okay.
on their service for a little while. I haven't touched the PS4 for a while because
Oh,
probably for the very same reason that we're talking about here, there was a significant length of time where that PSN service was not offering much value. Like you kind of wait every month to see how good the value is, and then sometimes you get disappointed with the things that you see. It's also a big money dump in Australia, at least for that. But look, I haven't seen any of those games. I know that Overcooked is much less of a collaboration game, more of a divorce kind of game.
Very much so.
So shouting out the wife, I think that may have been a bit dangerous for you there. But look, from the sounds of it, I'd say it's a competition thing. If they're leading into their showcase, there could be some inferences you could make from the games that they're trying to drop here. Like there could be something coming from IO to do with Hitman. They might have a special release there that would motivate people to start playing Hitman 2 or even Hitman 3. Yeah, I think there's always going to be ebbs and flows with the kinds of value that you get. But I think invariably the value tends to be pretty good regardless. I mean, if they always like to put that stuff on the box, don't they? Get $250 of value for just, $12 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good for people who can't always fork out the full price, the full box price for a game.
Yeah, money is important and all that.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you definitely want to. I mean, that's why lately, I don't really go for the big $60 releases anymore, unless it's a game I really want to play badly. But if it's coming to a service like this, and if I have a chance to download it and play it later, that's one thing I do like about this. Like once you download it, it's in your library, you can play it anytime you want. You just come back to it later. That's one of the values that I feel that it definitely does bring. But I do agree with you, Matt. There was a while where there was just games being put on there every month, and it was just like, what is this?
Especially if you don't use the network features and play with other people, you're not getting that value.
Yeah, no, not at all. Well, speaking of the PS5 and Xbox Series X or S, according to an article I read, looks like shortages will continue through 2023. Well, good for me because I already have my PS5, but I think getting the Xbox Series X is going to be quite the challenge. Well, maybe a little more challenging. I mean, I know, Finance, you've been looking for a new generation console with the Xbox Series X. What are your thoughts when you read something that shortages may still continue for over a year plus?
I mean, so right now we just hit like a little over 300 days with these consoles out, and it's been horrid. Like I don't like I know last week I talked about how I tried to get the Halo Series X edition during Gamescom and everything, and
Yeah.
I really didn't dive too deep into it, but it's just been devastating. Like not being able, like you have the money, you have the ability, and you wanna jump in so bad, but you have to. Yeah, you have to like kind of stalk the internet. You have to stalk Twitter. You have to, stalk these stores and go on their websites like every 5 minutes, every hour of every day. It's rough. And just the fact that Xbox in particular, like during Gamescom, didn't prepare like a way for these like the diehard people to get consoles. Like, come on, like you knew this was gonna sell out. Like you could have just reserve orders. Like you have to have the email address. Like there's people that like I saw like already have an Xbox Series X, and now they have a second one. They could just got the Halo edition just because. Like no, come on, you don't need a second one. Like
yes, people do.
Like I haven't heard anything about bots regarding that. And PlayStation's on track to sell more consoles than they're outpacing the PS4, and which is insane. So it's a crazy time. I know gaming's bigger than ever with still so many people indoors and dealing with everything that we have to deal with. I would just really someone throw me a bone. Like someone just if you come across a Series X, I will buy it off you. I'm not going to buy it off you for $900 or like $700. I sell it for me market value. You don't lose anything, you don't gain anything, like maybe like I can buy you a coffee like afterwards, like or something. But like I just want to get my hands on a console. I'm doing a gaming podcast with my friends here, and I would really love to jump in the next generation as I've been listening to it for the last 300 days. But how are you guys feeling with this? Like Matt, like are you feeling indifferent or how are you doing?
To be honest, I don't care. I think last week I talked about managing expectations with regards to stuff. This is another thing because in Australia, you get used to getting the tail end of things. Game releases, movie releases.
Sounds like you need a
streaming.
I got
okay. Sure, yeah. Just you can get that pandemic away from us and we might even be able to think about it. But I think what you explained just there is a perfect encapsulation of the frustration that everybody has, but it's what the companies don't care about anymore because their biggest hump was when they talked about the release of the consoles. The biggest hump for them is the competition with each other, the value add for either console. But this time, while they probably thought they had to contend with part supply shortages and the effect of the pandemic on production, now they're starting to optimize their processes, which is something we'll talk about a bit later on with the PS5 new model. But they're also they know the demand's there. Like they're hearing voices like yours, Fines, and they're going, okay, cool. We've got someone there who's going to buy it. We know that they'll hang on to that. They'll hang on to that feeling. They'll keep trying to get it. So, we'll roll them out when they go. And for as long as you keep wanting that device, they are happy to have that demand sitting in their backlog, ready to sell something when they need to, bump their stock price or increase their quarterly revenue for a period of time.
Switch OLED. Switch. Sorry, I had
that is
off there.
Definitely another conversation entirely. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I think all of that motivates the way that they're doing things. I think PlayStation and Xbox are incredibly comfortable right now. I don't think they're motivated at all. They just kind of sit back and see what happens, and they get out production as often as they can. I mean, the whole sell is to get the console in the hands of gamers, but they're kind of purporting like they've got their hands tied a little bit.
Mhm.
And this part shortage doesn't just impact gaming consoles, it impacts almost everything. And being a bit of a computer nerd, custom built PCs, that kind of thing, and wanting to do a new PC build myself, I'm hearing a lot of stories now about CPU shortages that will be coming down the line incredibly soon. You've probably heard about graphics cards. They are currently in short supply, mostly because demand has gone up, but also because part supplies are down. So we're looking at a 2022, 2023, where production for these things is going to be incredibly low, but demand is just going to keep going up because of the position we're in. That's a very long way to say they're out for the money. They don't care much for the gamer, and I'm sure they do, but I think they're pretty comfortable where they're at.
I'm sorry, J-Man, I'm just going to jump in
Oh,
real
no.
quick. I just
Oh,
had
no
a quick
worries.
note. I just want to say, like, I just appreciated so much the way the Steam Deck did it. Just talk about, just thinking about gamer first, just taking those reservations, and allowing each person just to get one, even though they're experiencing shortages and everything. And also, just the reservation system was on point. They were prepared, and I would just hope after a year, almost a year, that PlayStation and Xbox would incorporate something into their systems. I mean, they have the manpower, they have the money, and they have the ability.
They do, but they answer to a
Yeah.
lot of people, whereas Valve doesn't.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my opinion on the whole new consoles, and we discussed this last year, Finance. I really thought they should have just waited to put the new consoles out this year, not only because of supply shortages, just because I don't think it's like night and day, like in terms of like the games, because you can still get the PS4 version of this game as opposed to the PS5 version of that game, et cetera. So, I mean, it's scary to with you saying that, Matt. It's just scary to see what the future is going to entail for um, the industry. Graphics cards, for example. The demand keeps going up, but it's like if it's not low supply parts, all that stuff, it's just we're going to see prices skyrocket. Well, I mean, we're already in an expensive hobby as it is, but it's just going to be even way more than what it normally would be. And that's just something just to really just think about later on down the line.
I mean,
So
I don't know quite exactly what you guys are talking about, because I mean, I found like 5 like RTX 3090s like on the sidewalk just yesterday. They're just there.
They're probably the EVGA ones that had that soldering issue that just
Is that
died
what it was?
because they overheated. Yeah.
someone must have threw it out the window as they were driving or something, just wanted to get rid of it.
So now we're wasting chips? Gosh dang it.
That'd be the most frustrating thing of that issue. Like 3090s, people are forking out thousands of dollars for those, and just like the red ring on the old Xbox 360, one little part overheats, melts, and then they have to create a brand new product to replace it as well. That's another part pulled off the production line here.
Which is completely. I'm coming out of left field. I'm tying in to what you're saying, but this isn't in the outline for today. But I'm so impressed by the consoles not having any major widespread issues so far, which I was very scared about, which I didn't want to be a first adopter again and be burnt by that. So kudos to PlayStation and Xbox in regards to not having any major issues. I know the PlayStation runs super hot, but it's still functioning so far. So
Wait! I was reading this morning about the blue light of death for the PS5. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you got me. You got me. I was like, wait, it's always blue.
Yeah, the blue light of death. Yeah, no. Hopefully, I didn't jinx it for anyone out there that has a PS5. But speaking of PS5, PlayStation is having a showcase. Apparently, it's a PlayStation 5 showcase this week. Finance, you're going to be streaming it on Thursday, I believe, right? September the 9th?
Yes, I will be streaming at 1 p.m. Pacific. So whoever wants to join me, can join me in the chat and talk it up, and hopefully, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll be the only one, but doesn't matter. Come and join. Watch it with me.
Yeah, and real quick, just any predictions y'all think that that's going to be, or anything you're looking forward to seeing?
For me,
Nothing.
God of War Ragnarok. I really need to see some God of War soon. I mean, obviously, expectations low. Let the devs do what they need to do, and especially with God of War after that last one that came out was excellent. Yeah, I would like to see where the game's going and start to get some hints as to what's going to be contained in it. But can't hold out too much hope.
Finest, anything you want to see or anything you're looking forward to? Or you're just gonna watch the show and be wild?
Oh man, I mean it's a little bit of both. I mean, there's so many games that PlayStation has in their like back pocket that could just be revived. So I mean, I would love just like something out of their back pocket, like their back catalog, just to come out like a SOCOM, a new SOCOM comes out to like battle Call of Duty on the yearly release, like or let's see, something else like Jack and Dexter comes back, and
Maybe,
you know, and
maybe Sly Cooper or something. I don't know.
yeah, like you know, there's been people like there's been people calling for Sly Cooper to come back, and you know, people don't buy the game, so I don't see that coming back. But let's see. Oh, I mean, of course, Metal Gear. Like if like, I mean, there's been a lot of rumors around that. So if
that would be big, if that would be big.
Konami enough money, you know, like another Metal Gear or like the Metal Gear remake coming out of the first one, I can definitely see in the near future. I mean, because just look what PlayStation did with Final Fantasy VII, and how well it did. I know. I think it last time I saw it sold at least 10 million. So I don't know where it's at this point, but I mean, they made Intergrade, and now Intergrade's a PlayStation exclusive for at least maybe a timed exclusive. So I mean, now that PlayStation's done that and they've experienced that, I can see PlayStation taking that even further. You know, in order to bring other older games that people would love to see redone, and also bring it to a new audience. But yeah, it'd be good. Oh, last thing, I'm sorry, and Bloodborne 2. I can see also. It's been, I believe, like 5 years since the original Bloodborne came out, maybe longer. It's been quite some time either way. So I can see Bloodborne 2 coming out. But Justin, what about you, buddy? Like, where are you going with this?
I really would like to see, you know, some more information on the next Gran Turismo game, and you know, I just want to be just amazed with just something new or just something that hasn't been done in a while. That's what I'm looking forward to, and of course, you know, it being for, you know, the PS5, since I have one, you know, just not no disrespect to anyone that, you know, just rolling with a PS4 or anything, but I know like the next several, at least next year, the games are still going to be cross-gen. So I'm just ready for it. But if they say, hey, this is coming out in 2023 for the PS5, hopefully enough people have enough PS5s by then that they could just start making it exclusives and, you know, just slowly start breaking away from the PS4. So, I mean, that's what I would like to see. Another question for you guys. Nintendo rumors. And we all love Nintendo rumors, don't we? Apparently, there's been rumors out there that Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, not Advance, at least it didn't say Advance, are going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch Online service soon. Any games you would like to see from on there, or just does that get you excited for their online service? Does it add value to it? Or Matt, what do you think? You think Game Boy games would be adding value to their online service?
Not being a heavy Nintendo gamer myself, but understanding how they drip feed those old games into the Nintendo service, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people excited regardless. Because tapping into that back catalog, I know it has been a very long journey. And look, they may even drive sales, because Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance SP are the three things from my youth that I would love to be able to explore some nostalgia with. I mean, it was Pokemon games for me for the most part. Might have been a Kirby game or two there, but look, it's probably a drive as well. If the OLED is coming out very soon, or if it's out already, I'm not actually sure. Then
It's coming soon.
adding more games. Sorry, is it coming soon?
Yeah, it's coming soon. Next month.
Okay.
Yeah, October. The day Metroid Dread comes out, I believe.
Right. Well, I guess they'd be motivated to add as many games to the service before that happens to ensure that customers can see the value when they buy that product. And because we know that they don't negotiate on price, they have to drive the market in order to sell those units. So can only be a good thing.
Matt, with that beard, I can't tell when you're being serious and when you're joking. You're just so straight. I can't even tell.
I'm playing the contrarian, I think, in this podcast. I've adopted that part. We've got Fines as the frustrated gamer. I am the contrarian, Moneybags contrarian here. Yeah, look, no, absolutely not being sarcastic at all. Like, I understand that's what it is, but that's looking from the outside. There's the passion of the gamer. I know that anyone with a Nintendo device is incredibly motivated to keep using it. The games that they put up there tend to be pretty good. Like Breath of the Wild. If the Switch was a more reasonable price in Australia, I probably would have picked it up already just to play that game, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, look, Nintendo Switch, it's good.
F-Man, you had a Game Boy growing up. What games would you like to see if they were to put Game Boy games on the Switch Online?
I hate Nintendos. I don't like this side. I don't play them whatsoever. Just
stop lying.
Hold on. Just don't. Wizard of Oz. Let's see. Yeah, I used to have one of those. And those games are hard as balls, and they're not actually as fun as you think they are. That was back in a day where we didn't have all these other great consoles and great graphics and great handhelds and everything. I mean,
tooltips and quality insurance and gamer tutorials.
Get Geico. No, no, it's just like it's a different world. I just really don't see kids like that are playing the Switch going back to the games. Yeah, I can see. Of course, there's plenty of adults like that have that nostalgia, but there's the thing about breaking nostalgia also. There's been plenty of games where I've gone back to, and I'm just like, this game sucks, and now I will forever like remember that this game sucks. Instead of like where before, yeah, exactly, Clay Fighters. Before I played that game, like I was like, so it was that I had that nostalgia feeling. I was like, oh man, I have access to this game again. And I'm like, I get to play this. I'm so excited. And then I play it. And then like I'm tossing it to the side like 30 minutes later, just because it was what I remember, but I didn't have that same feeling, after experiencing everything that I've experienced. Whereas back then I didn't have those experiences. So some things I just like to keep inside, keep in here, and just remember it fondly. But that being said, Nintendo, am I allowed to cuss? I don't know for cussing. About bleeping time. I'll just leave it. I won't cuss. But about time, like Nintendo's online service is Nintendo is basically Nintendo's moniker. It basically encapsulates everything Nintendo does. They hold out everything old. Like they keep it and they keep it tight and they don't give it to us. They like take their sweet time and they milk it and they milk it. And then when they know you're starving, then they hand it off to you. They're like, here, $60. And we buy it. And, we buy it
for real.
Yeah, we want these Nintendo products so bad.
The N64 Mini, if they put that out tomorrow, how many people would go buy that thing?
It would sell gangbusters, That's why people are making all these emulators. Like I had an emulator on my phone the other day. I was like, I was flying to Los Angeles and I pulled up like this emulator on my phone and I had no idea. Like I even downloaded it. I'm like, when did I download this? Like, did I get hacked? Like, what is this? And then it had like Star Fox on it. And it had Zelda. It had just like all the classics. It had Kirby All Stars. And I'm just like, am I allowed to do this? And like, there's no Wi-Fi needed, and I'm just playing all these games on my phone, and I enjoyed it so much because one, I didn't know it was on my phone, and then two, it's just I'm not getting these games from Nintendo. Nintendo is not giving me access to them, and by the time they are, I'm going to be like 90. Like by the time an N64 Mini comes out, which is devastating. Like Nintendo, people want to give you their money, so give us an opportunity to, and
Yeah.
you know, these Game Boy games should have came out when the system came out, and if you weren't ready for that, like, come on, like don't bring me a Switch OLED. Give me a Switch that can actually handle the 64 games, that can handle the Wii games, you know, that can handle your back catalog. And like, it's like they're making money off of every system, every Switch. And the Switch has been the top selling console for what, over a year now. Like they have some money somewhere. Like, I don't know where the money's going. I know they're, of course, like they're making games and everything, but I want them to dig a little deeper, Nintendo, like, you know, in your gut, to just make it happen, make more happen. But that's my biggest gripe with Nintendo in general. Now I'm just speaking so much.
Xbox, we need more consoles. PlayStation, we need more consoles. Nintendo, we need more of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Ding. Wait, can we give them? Is there like a point system? Can we just like a tally right there? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
give us 100 points. I'll be right.
100 points. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know for me, I mean, if we do, I mean, Nintendo, yeah, they can do more. You know, they can do more. I mean, like N64 Mini, you know, the GameCube Mini. I mean, yeah, they really just need to start bringing it all in. I mean, people want to give you your money, Nintendo. And it's just like you just don't want to take it or something. I mean, you focus great on the software. Just care a little bit more about your hardware. You have a just one of the best catalogs in all of gaming. You know, GameCube. You know, it's a console that's more popular now than it was back when it came out. Like like some of the stuff I just don't understand it. But you know, just definitely just Nintendo. You could do so much. But
are we spoiled?
Yeah, I think so.
More of everything.
I think the frustrated gamer, pandemic is spreading, I think. But again, the way that you guys feel about this stuff is exactly what they want.
Yeah.
They create that demand, they generate it, and then they give you a little bit so that you know that something's coming. You don't know when. Like Justin, you were talking about a Nintendo Direct that may or may not be coming.
Yeah, that was my next topic, actually. Yeah. Do you think it may come? It may come this week. I mean, who knows? I mean, sometimes they'll just drop them. Sometimes, you know, I mean, historically they have done Nintendo Directs in the month of September. I mean, you think? Do you think they're going to do one this week? Either of you? Maybe not. No. They're not going to do it on the day of the PlayStation Showcase. No, that would be funny. It'd actually make for a big podcast next week if they were to do that.
They notoriously like to etch out their own space, don't they?
Yeah.
Just because there's some competition doing something else, they know that they'll get the numbers to watch that Direct. So they kind of like edge out. They're like, okay, we're doing this time. If you want to come for this stuff, you're going to come watch. And that's precisely what it is. Like the same process with their game releases and their online service and their device pricing. That's piecemealing announcements for things that you don't even know you want yet. And yet people will still come and grab them. It's their entire process throughout the entire thing. Seems to be very similar across the board.
Very much so. All the consoles, yeah.
All right, so speaking of emulation, you know, this is more of FPGA emulation. The Polymega all-in-one retro console. I mean, we've talked about this several times on the podcast. It's big beauty. You know, you can play multiple consoles. I mean, what do you think of a device like this, Matt? Good, bad?
Look, they can only be good. Just like Fines was saying before, if it's a console that brings things together and makes it easier for people to get their stuff, then it's a good thing. But the harder part for it are the hoops they had to jump through to make something like this happen, I think. The licensing of the games, the patents they would have had to potentially purchase to make the cartridges work in the console as well, because that's one of the stipulations for the device, isn't it? You can either
Yeah.
do your own brand new dump of games you've got, or you can use the original game cartridge or CD or whatever it is to play the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could do your own dump, or yeah, just put your ROMs on a. I think you can put your ROMs on a SD card. I could be
Mm.
wrong about that though, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a good thing and bad thing in my opinion. Just what I don't like is just the many attachments that come with this thing. I think that's just like, if I know for me, it would just be like if I want to play just Super NES games, I would look to get a analog ST or whatever. Yeah, I think that's what's called analog ST, or just get original hardware like Final Stats in his background there. But but for the most part, I mean that's the only problem I have with it. But I mean everything else, looks fine. If you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I like what they're doing. You know, every system has attachments. There's no
Mhm.
system that's all inclusive. So the fact that you at the with the base console you can play, I believe, PlayStation and Nintendo games, and then you can get attachments for Saturn and stuff. I believe. Not 100% sure. I'm sorry, I didn't read up on it too much. But I'm fine with them allowing you to buy attachments to do more. You get the console, you get what you get, you can play what you play. But if you're into Sega Saturn, or if you're in, I don't know what other consoles it plays, just hypothetically speaking, if it does Jaguar, if there's an attachment to play Jaguar games, you have that capability. I have a whole bunch of consoles behind me. These were all in my apartment back in the day. They got kicked to the garage with me. So, like, if I was just able to have like one console and put it in my household, and then kind of take my back catalog of old retro games and go inside and play it in my house on my comfortable couch, it would be awesome. And then, yeah, it does come with 32 gigabytes of memory. So yeah, it's not much, but it does have expandable storage also. So just you don't necessarily need to have that back catalog. You can play any ripped games, or games you download off your PC, and play it on this console for the most part. So
Yeah.
there's options there, and that I think that's the key point of this is like, hey, you don't need your 20 consoles that you have, sitting behind.
Convenience factor.
Yeah, it's completely convenient, and I think that's the name of the game more so now than ever. Yeah, I would, I if I completed my other console collection, like, and I was just kind of in a place where like I wanted to simplify, or maybe I do want to purchase something in my house after I get my PlayStation 5 and Xbox. Then yeah, I can see myself buying this. But until then, it's a nice thought. It's nice that it's there.
Just
Yeah.
to jump off on what you said before, though, Justin, like where it's kind of a convenience thing. If you want to have a wife who still loves you, and make room for other things in the old TV unit besides the 20 other consoles that you've got, it sounded like you were maybe edging towards this product as a fake retro thing. Like maybe it's not authentic enough for the actual retro gamer.
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, I, I think everyone has their preference. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I already have this for SNES Mini. For those of you who can't see it, and I got this also. Me personally, I just don't really see any use for it, in my home. I mean, the only thing
Because you've got enough things.
yeah, I got enough things. So, but I mean, if you don't have one, I mean, by all means, definitely go pick it up.
Isn't that strange though? That attachment we have just to like the look, the aesthetic of items. Because if it did look like a Nintendo, or if it did look like a PlayStation, like an old PlayStation or something like that, I can see so many people being like more attached and more willing to possibly purchase. But I feel like just because there's none of that there, that none of that attachment, none of that history. it's more of a niche item because I mean we've seen consoles like this before, and this is far from the first one.
Yeah.
Other ones with similar attachments so you can play other consoles. So it's interesting. It's interesting to think about just how people just like the looks of consoles, and like the feel, and like they're like, oh, I want to go back to my early years and play this console, but there's things like this that allow them to do that, but they rather have the old Nintendo that is going to break down on them any second.
It's everything though. Like even smell sometimes when you I know for me, I mean it's a big bucking trend among people now, but Pokemon cards, they were a huge deal at the time when I was young. And I can still feel like that pull and that tug of opening a booster pack and pulling out the cards with the expectation that maybe you'll have something awesome or maybe you won't. But, the smell of the cards, you kind of remember that. And the tangible feeling of those cards in your hands as you pull them out of the booster pack. It'd be the same with the consoles too. Like there are people who'd look at the NES models and the yellowing plastic and say, that's real. That's what should be happening with a console.
Yeah.
Not this polycarbonate plastic that they use now.
Yeah, I saw a few of those Super NES with the yellow when I went to those retro gaming shops yesterday. So, yeah, people do want to see that. But but the point of what you were saying, Finest, I think the Super Analog Super NT, that's like closest it's going to get to the Super NES. So I think like if you want to play just say Super NES games, for example, people would get that because it looks like a knockoff Super NES, and not to mention that it's probably the best clone console that's out there right now also, but just I think like some of these companies are really trying to go for the way that original console looks. Some companies are better at it than others, definitely, but I think that's what what companies are trying to do. All right, so we have another topic here. China has new gaming policies for minors. Apparently, they can only game for 3 hours a week, 4 hours, 3 hours a week. Online. Yeah, ridiculous. 3 hours a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I guess holidays for only 1 hour. Boy, it has to be rough for those kids. But I mean, I believe it's just online gaming, though. I don't think if they're not playing online, then I guess they can go a little longer. But how do you? I mean, sometimes I know I'm real busy during the week that sometimes I may not only game for 3 hours a week. But Finest, if you were a kid, could you go gaming for just 3 hours a week?
As a child, no. But I mean, gaming is so different, than it was when we were kids. I feel like this is like the nostalgia episode. Just keep going way back. To age
That's how it came out.
Yeah. No, it's just gaming it's such a science now. They like developers look at like the psychological aspects, and they look at like the colors, and they take all this into account along with what they're building in order to keep people playing. It is so much the casino aspect where, like we were talking about earlier, where a developer trickles out. Developers are doing the same thing. Like they're just giving you a little bit. They're just giving you enough, and it keeps you playing because you like that feeling, you like that reward. So I mean, gaming back in the day, no, it was just they made a game and they wanted you to get through it more or less. And if it was glitched, if it was buggy, if it was hard, there was no save. There's no saving or anything like that. And if you did find a save point, that was your celebration. That was your reward. You're like, yes, I got the level, and you would turn it off, and you're like, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow, or I'll be back in a week, because like that game kicked my butt. It was such a relief, and it's not the same now. I know for me as a parent, and like with my child, I like right now he's only 2, but I limit his TV. Hey, you can only play, or not, you can play. You can only watch, an hour of Coco Melon, and then you're gonna have to go play with toys, and you'll learn. You'll get that later, Matt. So. But yeah, just you can only watch an hour of this, and then you got to go outside for 2 hours, and then you can come back and watch some more. But I foresee the same thing about gaming. Like, I don't play when he's up. I very seldomly do, and if I do, I don't play for very long. Like, it'll be like, oh, he's waking up from a nap, and then I turn off my games as quickly as I can. And because I just don't want him to get addicted. He's not even allowed in the garage, really. Like, we have a refrigerator in here, and he comes in the garage and he'll grab a snack, and then I kick him out. So for kids, I can see that the fact that it's not the parents making these decisions, that like,
yeah, it's the government that's making this.
It's the government. Now that's we live where we live, and it's something that they're gonna have to deal with until something else changes. But I really can't speak to that. I just, they'll be fine. They're gonna live.
We are incredibly fortunate to live in the countries that we do, with the kinds of freedoms that we enjoy, compared to looking at countries like China that do this kind of thing. And I was wondering what you guys were going to hit on with this, because definitely the subtext of that whole thing is the totalitarian regime and the dictatorship that runs in China specifically. And it's very funny that they, in that article that you'd linked before, Justin, it mentions video game addiction boot camps as well.
That's crazy, man.
They send kids to a facility for a length of time. I think some of them listed it as about 11 months long that they were there. They have a regimented existence. They eat together. They do activities. It's basically like reprogramming for children to fight game addiction, whatever capacity that comes in, and however much you believe it exists or not. And parents will sometimes live on site with them as well. Like, it sounded like towards the end of their rehabilitation, the parents would live with them again to reintegrate with society, almost to get used to being out in the world again. So I think there's a lot of elements working in that country to support this kind of thing happening as well. There didn't seem to be any talk of why it was minors specifically, if there was a legal reason for that. I know in Korea, there's been a few laws passed. I think one of them was called the Cinderella Law, where you had to be over a certain age to play Minecraft. I think the article had said when it came out at the time, that you couldn't play games if you were under a certain age and between, these different times of the day. And that was just games in general. It wasn't just online games. So I don't know. It's an incredibly large issue, and there's a lot that we could dive in to do with it. But look, I don't have an answer for this one. Neither an opinion. I think each country has its own things, which will come up on this podcast more and more often as we talk. Where I am compared to where you guys are. But yeah, it's a very unusual one. And one that
definitely
gamers react to and say, there's no way I could do that. I have to have my 9 hours a week or whatever it is.
Yeah, which is insane.
It's going to be hard to beat a game, especially if it's like a 60-hour game or whatever, just 3 hours a week. But moving on. So Sony has listened to their fans yet again. First, it was the threatening closures of the PS Vita store and the PS3 store and the PSP store, but they closed the PSP store. So now, with Horizon Forbidden West coming out early next year, originally you're going to have to buy the Deluxe Edition for $80 just to, get that upgrade. But now they've gone back stating that, the upgrade will be free. and then any cross-gen games that they have coming in the future will be, $10. So, I mean, I don't understand Sony's policy here. I mean, what was making me upset is just like Xbox, I think, has a better model. Like, for example, Forza Horizon 5 is coming out in November. You pay $60. That's all you have to pay. I mean, I have an Xbox One S. If I ever do upgrade to the X or Series X or S, I mean, hey, my game's still there. So, I mean, what do y'all think Sony's trying to do here with this whole pricing thing? You can start with you.
I think it's the same
or
as what we talked about before. I think they can see that the demand is there, that they know that they can edge a little bit more money. And look, they're going to be looking at building more and upping production of those PlayStations once the parts start coming back in. They realize they probably need to pay a little bit more to get that stuff through. So if the player demand is there, if they know consoles are required, they're probably not too bothered if there's going to be a bit of backlash when they say, where previously they said it was going to be free, if they instead come out with a digital deluxe version that includes both and it ends up not being free or transferable between the consoles. Because something very similar happened with Control. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but when Control was released, it was going to have a planned set of DLCs. And then as they moved to release a better version of Control,
I remember that.
What the publisher had decided to do instead was release a version that only included the extra DLC, and that was the only way to get that DLC as well. But that was going to be an additional cost for the full price of the game in order to get it. And while they hadn't promised anything in that respect, when you want downloadable content, you don't feel like you should have to pay for another version of the game entirely again just to get it. And it was the Ultimate Edition, I think they called it. It had a few more upgrades in terms of gameplay. It might have been a 60 FPS kind of deal, 4K compatible or something like that. But that's a very similar situation. You'd think PlayStation would have reflected on that a little bit and realized that the backlash on the developer and the publisher was so large and hefty. And podcasts like ours talked about it so much that it rallied the gamers to the point where it became a big problem for them. And obviously it did for PlayStation too, because it took, a day, 2 days for them to turn around and say, sorry. But it also got them in the news. Yeah. But all publicity is good publicity at the end of the day. If they wanted to be in the news and make an announcement about this game, they just drew everybody in. And then within a day, they turn around and all of a sudden, look at that. All of future cross-platform games for PlayStation exclusives are going to have a pricing tier that will allow people to branch into the new console. And what do you know? Maybe some more consoles come out and become available to purchase in larger amounts in a few months. Maybe we get an announcement later this week about God of War that it's coming out early 2022. And then they open pre-orders for a new SKU of the console. Like there's a lot of opportunities for them to jump on this and create more demand and more money. Again, I'm the moneybags contrarian on this podcast, but yeah, I think that's what it's going to ultimately end up being. If it wasn't a plan, then I don't think they were too bothered with putting people on the back burner. The evidence is there. They would have seen that the whole Control thing meant that there'd be player backlash.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Bonus, you got any thoughts?
I have a couple things that I wanted to touch on, but actually I want to hear your thoughts because I'm going to go on a rant in a second because I'm the angry gamer.
Okay. Yeah. Because we go on your rant. I mean, I give my thoughts. What are you doing, Sony? Like, what are you doing? I mean, you didn't do this when the PS3 to the PS4. I mean, you made it pretty simple. It seemed like Xbox was the bad guy back then. Now you guys have slowly taken down that role. I mean, and just they just been doing like a lot of things lately that have just been giving player backlash. Just like the threatening closures of the PS3 and PS Vita stores. Now you got this, so it's just make it easier for us. Like if people want to play it on the PS5 and they have PS4, just make it an easier roadmap. It's already hard enough that people can't even come across the PS5 without paying $1,000 to someone on eBay, which I don't recommend y'all doing, by the way. But just make it easier and fair for your consumers. You don't want to have backlash. You don't want to regress like you did when the PS3 got off to a bad start. Now on to you, Finest. Your rant.
Yeah, and you're right on that. Like, PlayStation already figured this out with the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And just allowing, like, PlayStation started crossplay. As far as I know, but PlayStation started crossplay. They had on one console you can play PS1, PS2, PS3 games. They had it all there. As far as cross generational games, they had Last of Us. PS3 to PS4. And there was others too. But Last of Us is the only one I can think of right now. It's just, you already have the answer, PlayStation. Like, why would you regress when a new console SKU comes out? It's just crazy. Like, I know Nintendo gets a pass for this and a daily thing when they decide to bring out their games again and at full price and have no DLC, but you're not Nintendo, okay? You are Sony, and people expect more of you. Okay, you are a leader in the market, and you have been for so long now. So, like, it's really tough seeing PlayStation just make the same mistakes over and over again, and see like Xbox like learn from their mistakes. But at the same time, like, Xbox was the market leader, and then they did the same thing. I felt like they felt like there was nothing that they can do wrong, and that set them back. And I can very much see PlayStation doing the same thing. Right now, PlayStations are selling like gangbusters, but with these constant slip ups, I guess you can call them, these things that like kind of like knock the place in and make you kind of think and just scratch your head and just be like, wait, so on Xbox I can play all my games from my Xbox, my Xbox 360, my Xbox One S, or my Xbox One, and I can play it all on my Series X, and it's not going to cost me anything. And some of my games are upscaled. Wow, that's a really good deal. I don't have any Xbox games. I never bought one, but I'm gonna start right now because I'm pretty sure going forward with the next console generation, I'll be able to play all my games and take it with me, and that's what people want. And we even looked forward to that with the PlayStation 5. We're just like, oh, well, am I gonna be able to play like my old PlayStation games on my PlayStation 5? And PlayStation's, well, like, we'll get back to you. We'll let you know. Because it wasn't built in the infrastructure of things, and I know it's going to be more costly on Sony's end. But as the market leader, like, you have the ability to do these things. In regards to Horizon Forbidden West and all their future games, I love that we finally have a direction. We have something to lean on, because that's been the problem with this. They announced this, and then there was like, hey, there's going to be 9 different versions of Horizon Forbidden West. Upgrade as you please. Here goes a pie chart, and then here goes your upgrade model. Like, it was like, wait, okay, so I have to look at this pie chart, and I fall right here, but I bought the DLC, and if I want to get the collector's edition and bring it, and like, it's just so convoluted. Like, PlayStation just needs to make it simple. Xbox is simple. You buy the game, you get it wherever, and it works both ways. PlayStation just needs something similar, and now I feel like they've taken a step in that direction, and it set the precedent for all future games that are going to be cross-platform. And that's what I'm happy about in this. I'm happy that we finally, as gamers, have a simpler, clearer direction as like where we're headed as we move forward with PlayStation 5, because we can't have this. Like, we can't have pie charts, and we can't have so many pricing models where I can't explain it as an educated gamer that watches the news and looks at things every day, that I can't explain it to my son or whoever, Joe Schmo down the street. Like, my friend Bobby calls me up and he's like, hey, like, I'm thinking about buying a PlayStation 5 or Xbox, and like, I want to get these games, but like, there's like 9, 10 different versions of it. Like, how do I go about this? Like, and I'm like, can you email me that pie chart, because I don't know either. But yeah, no, I said my piece. Like, I'm glad that, hey, it's going to be $10, or there's going to be some type of pricing model with it. I hope they stick to the $10 mark and kind of do like what Ghost of Tsushima did. I cannot speak today, but you guys know what game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I hope that they like kind of carry that forward, and then they like release like, future content, and then it's just blown up, and you like your money's there. Like, you're definitely getting more than just an expansion or DLC. Like, you're getting like almost another game in that aspect. But not every game is going to do as well as Ghost of Tsushima did. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that Sony listened.
Yeah. Thank God for social media, because if this was 10 years ago, they wouldn't be hearing us gamers. Definitely, this day and age, gamers are fighting back, and that's what I love about it. All right, boys, last topic, the PS5 revision. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to see Austin Evans. I guess he's a YouTuber. I guess he did a teardown of the PS5. And I guess one of the things he was able to discover was that the newer version, it gets hotter than the old version. So I'm just a little my question is, what version will be better in the long run for the PS5? The old one or the new one? For me, I'm just going to answer this first, and I'll let you guys speak. It's just only time will tell for me. Like, I mean, we'll see if they start having problems. I mean, hopefully they don't, but I mean, I think they are making consoles better these days to the point that they are not having problems. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. Finest, Matt.
That was like the answer, not answer. That's like I will let you know in 5 years.
Which is the better one. I'm not going to buy
it yet. Yeah, no.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know if you can consider this a console revision. I mean, there's a bolt change, and I don't know why the console's running hotter. I didn't even look into it. I didn't look at the teardown. I apologize.
No worries. No, you're good.
But I know there's been a change in the bolt, and I don't even know how it could even run hotter, because it was already running extremely hot. So,
yeah.
So I can help you out there. So okay. I did watch it, and I think this is going to close the loop on the whole discussion we've been having intermittently throughout this podcast episode as well. The new model SKU, which I think actually, funnily enough, got leaked in Australia on our JB Hi-Fi website, I think a couple of months ago. The biggest thing about it that they talked about was it was 300 grams lighter for a start. And obviously, the first thing people ask themselves after being lighter is, what did they take out? What did they compromise in the design to get it to that lighter stage, and why did they do it? And if you watch that teardown a little bit, the big thing that they notice, well, first they do check the temperature, the running temperature. It seemed to be about 4 or 5 degrees or 2 or 3 degrees hotter than the original model. But when they ripped it apart, they found that the heatsink inside was a lot smaller, and it also wasn't made of a copper design, but it was more of an aluminium design. And copper is a lot better at drawing heat. It's got a better thermal property than aluminium does. So the newer SKU not only runs hotter, has the same, if not bigger power draw from the device, but it also has a smaller heatsink, which means it's dissipating heat and it's not cooling the device as easily as the older model would. So that's why the temperature has gone up a little bit. But I think they're more than happy to do that because they've seen the model go out. They wanted to get over that hump that I mentioned earlier, where they were competing with Xbox for a product and they didn't want the red ring problem. So they dumped as much money as they could into very high quality components to ensure that there isn't overheating, that the device doesn't sound like a jet engine when you play one of the higher scale games that they released at the time. And now that the console looks good, now that they've got real world data to compare against with the devices that have been out there, they know what they can play with a little bit. They know that they can go about maybe 3 or 4 degrees hotter with the running temperature of the device. They can still draw what they want from the components contained in it to get the value, the graphics, and all of that, those running components that they have. And they can roll it out for cheaper because they're using less expensive components and smaller heat sinks to be able to roll out a new SKU. But as Justin said, the comparison between the two, you're going to want to do the older model because you've got the more expensive components, that the new SKU isn't cheaper. So the older model is going to be the best value add because it's got the better components, it runs a bit cooler. That would probably mean the shelf life of the product is a little bit longer than the new SKU. So that's really the comparison point that I think it ultimately comes to. But does that mean that there's going to be people that are hunting for the old SKU as opposed to the new one? Is there going to be like a brand new scalping market for people who are looking for the console that might last 3 or 4 months longer than the new one? Like, this is all the stuff that's going to have a throw-on effect, I think, that could impact things. But in my opinion, if I had a PS5 right now, I wouldn't be upgrading to the new model. And at the same time, just because I can't get an older one, I wouldn't not get the new one. Yeah. I think either way, you're going to get what you need to from it. This is just one of those teeny tiny little things that people like to fixate on when they're trying to compare products.
And it doesn't really hurt that PlayStation, since they've sold so many consoles so far, that every console that they're selling, they're making profit. So
precisely, and now their profit margin will be larger because they saved 20 cents per device on a smaller heatsink that doesn't dissipate heat as well. That's all it comes down to, really. It's always money.
Yeah, it's always money. Well, thank you, guys. We got through all the topics. So a couple things left for the podcast. We got the rundown of all the games that are coming out and then what we are playing, one of my favorite parts of the podcast. So what's coming out this week? So we'll start. Chernobyl Light. I think I said it right. All these games. All right. Let me start with the date. So September 7th, which is Tuesday, Chernobyl Light, PS4 and Xbox One. In case coming out for the PC, also Tuesday. Fist or Forge and Shadow Torch coming out for the PS5 and PS4 on Tuesday. And then I'm looking forward to Sonic Colors Ultimate. Coming out for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Blood Rain, Betrayal of Fresh Bites. That's coming out for, appears to be everything, September 9th. The Artful Escape, coming out for the Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, PC, September 9th. Inked, A Tale of Love, PS4 and Xbox One, September 10th. Kraken Academy for the PC, September 10th. Big one here, Life is Strange, and that's coming out for everything on September 10th. Lost in Random, coming out for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, September 10th. Another big one here, NBA 2K22, that's coming out for everything, September 10th. Port Royale 4 for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S on September 10th. Tales of Arise coming out for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And last but not least, WarioWare Get It Together coming out for the Switch. Any of those games interesting you guys this week? Anything? All of them?
Absolutely.
If you guys do have a Switch, and if you're a little bit on the fences of WarioWare Get It Together, just play the demo. I tried it out. It's not a bad game, but micro games. I don't think it's made too well of a transition onto the console side of things. But just give it a try. I mean, demos. Definitely play a demo if you're always unsure of a game. And then I got Sonic Colors Ultimate pre-ordered. Can't wait for it. Coming out Tuesday. I heard the Switch version was buggy, so I stopped by GameStop earlier today to switch to the PS4 version. So yeah, I'm not taking my chances there. Matt, any games out there looking forward to, or anything you think you should try out?
I had a quick look through the list. There, to be honest, there isn't many there that tickle my fancy, but I know that Life is Strange: True Colors is one that people will be hanging out for.
Mm.
The Don't Nod, the studio that make that game, and Tell Me Why. Obviously, the other Life is Strangers. They make some really good quality games, and the subject matter they cover is really good. So I'm looking forward to that. The Artful Escape looks very interesting. That one's coming out on Game Pass in a couple of days. So anyone
Oh
looking for
yeah.
that would be keen to jump on Game Pass for that and for 12 minutes and things like that. And Fist, FIST, that one looks really interesting. Seems to be anthropomorphized animals with massive mechanized limbs hanging off them. Seems very interesting.
All right. But you're not. So I take it you're not an NBA fan, and you won't be picking up NBA 2K22. No, I'm just playing with you.
No,
man.
I am not. Yeah, look, not much needs to be said. No, I'm not a fan.
It's all good. I mean, I love NBA basketball. I'll probably pick that up on the cheap later on. Anything there that you like?
I already gave my answer, all of them.
Oh yeah, all of them. That's
joking.
right.
No, Fist definitely looks interesting. Just I don't know. I don't even know. Just the cyborg animals that walk and talk. What was that other game that just came? Biomutant. It's like, it reminds me of like the big brother or the little brother of Biomutant. So that definitely looks very interesting. The one game that I probably will pick up, depending on the cost, is Blood Rain. So the Blood Rain game. I don't know if you guys remember those games back on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 2, or is it on PlayStation 3? PlayStation.
It sounds familiar. It sounds old.
PlayStation 2. Yeah. So those original Blood Rain games were very like marketed as like sexy vampire type of thing, like almost like female Blade. So anyway, this particular Blood Rain that's coming out is a remake. A retelling, or not a retelling, a remake, a relaunch. Haha, there we go. A relaunch of the 2011 side-scrolling Blood Rain, because the other ones were like really bad 3D back in the day. But this one is a illustrated 2D side-scrolling one, almost Castlevania-like, but not as Metroidvania Vania-like. It is, yeah, but there's blood, guts, vampires, and the fact that it's just been kind of brought to this day and age, and it looks beautiful. It looked good back then, but now it looks even better, just in its high fidelity. I'd probably be down to play that one again. Other than that, I didn't see too much on the list that I would really be interested in. WarioWare, I feel sorry for Nintendo fans, but not because it's a bad game or anything, just because, you know,
it's WarioWare.
Yeah, been there, done that, and they're gonna have to pay full price for it. But I'm sure.
I think it's 50. It's 50.
That's full price in my book. But I don't know. It's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money for a game.
Yeah,
but that's a different topic.
I would wait.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of games, what are we playing this week? Finance, we shall start with you. What have you been playing this week?
Dude, nothing too crazy. I'm just still engulfed in Hades. I probably will play another 100 runs before I jump into any other games. I don't see any games on the that I'll be playing anytime soon that would really pull me away, except for Halo and Horizon. Hades all day, every day. I'm still in Tartarus, getting my torso kicked by fire, magma, skulls, and everything else that's down there. So, not my favorite level. Honestly, I'm like, this level is kind of annoying me just a little bit. But that's okay. I'm going to get through it. I'm getting more powerful with every run, as I should be, and I'm having fun for the most part. So.
It's good. As long as you're making progress, that's the important thing. That's
Matt,
all I'll say.
Matt, what are you playing, man?
So I've actually been hitting games pretty hard of late. I think I talked about it last week. I finished off A Plague Tale: Innocence, and that one turned out to be incredibly good. I'd recommend anybody pick that up that's interested in a story-driven game with some interesting mechanics to it. I also played Superliminal, which is like a physics-based perspective puzzle kind of game. That one I think is very easy for people to bounce off of, but anyone who's started playing it and then dropped it because it seemed a bit, a bit light, kind of laughing at itself, it does get a whole lot better. Like that, getting towards the end of that game was awesome. It has a really interesting and unique message that I think is really cool. I won't say much more than that because it is possible to spoil it a bit. And just yesterday evening, I finished 12 Minutes, which was released, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, but it's been doing the rounds among other podcasts and news media about being a game that's notoriously frustrating. And I can definitely say that for myself, that the repetitive nature of the loops in terms of the gameplay and the story elements that take a very long time to unfold, it meant that I had to spend a lot of time with it, and a lot of that was frustrating, but it's well worth it when you get to the end. And for anyone struggling playing that game and getting through to it, the best piece of advice I have for them is to just listen to the game.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say, because it's a very easy game to spoil.
The light switch. That's all I'm going to say. The light switch.
You need to know when to have dessert. That's one of the important.
I'll definitely take that into consideration. As for myself, I finished The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, so on my 3DS. So, I beat a game. So yeah, I think I'm a little Zelda out. So I'm going to be taking a break from Zelda for a while. What else did I play? Oh, you saw me streaming on Friday night, Matt. Caves and the Wild Masks. I jumped back into that. I streamed it. You saw my so great and not so great gaming skills. So if you follow me on Twitch, definitely check that out. The replay is there. I'll actually send the link to you, Finance, so you can put it on our YouTube channel. And then just otherwise, just getting ready for Sonic, Sonic Colors. So I popped in Sonic Forces, game that I got deep into. I never finished it. Just not the greatest Sonic game ever, but but I'm a sucker for those older 3D Sonic games. So I played that for a little bit last night, and then that's about it. And on my end, just wanna get that Sonic. I got that. No, wait, I did get that Sonic. What is it? The Dark Brotherhood. So yeah, Sonic Chronicles, Dark Brotherhood. Yeah, I want to play that. That's probably going to be the next handheld game I want to play. So I showed Link some love on its anniversary. Now I'm showing Sonic some love. Well, so I'll be playing this week. Definitely Sonic Colors for sure. But so that's going to wrap it up for our podcast for today. Any final words, Finance, Matt?
No, just keep gaming. Don't get frustrated. Just be patient.
All right. Thank you for listening to or watching the Game & Watch podcast, episode number 53. I'm Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fools, saying so long. Hope y'all enjoyed, and we will catch you on the next one. Later.